myself either, but I had dried cranberries. And that will work too. So whatever you all have, if it's a raisin, a dried cranberry, a yogurt covered raisin, any of that sort of stuff will work. All right, so has everybody got theirs? Got mine here. Everybody got theirs? So what I want you to do is definitely not eat it yet, but we're going to take our raisin, and I want you to put it between 2 fingers and just kind of hold it there. And I want you to kind of roll it around a little bit between those 2 fingers. Roll that around just, and sometimes my little raisin is a little bit dried out really kind of hard, so rolling it around is kind of softening it up. But think about what you're feeling right now. Think about how that feels in your finger. Is it squishy? Is it hard? Is it bumpy? Sticky? Just think about that raisin and kind of name what you're feeling. And then take a good look at it, and let's notice what color it is. So mine, since it's a cranberry, it's kind of got a red color to it, but there's some black in there, there's some purples, there's some a lot of different colors in that texture. So what do y'all think? How about yours? What is it? What colors in there? And so now let's take it to our nose and let's smell that raisin. Take a nice deep breath of that. Really think about, have you ever smelled a raisin? You know, that kind of, that fragrance. What does that smell like to you? Now that we've smelled it, we're also going to hear a raisin. So we'll take that between our fingers, put it right up to your ear, and then keep twisting it around. Can you hear those little pops? Anybody hear that? It's got, so raisins have sound. Did you ever experience that before, where you've noticed a raisin that talked to you? All right. So the last sense that we have is taste. But before we put it in our mouth, there's a couple of things I want you to do. First of all, we're going to when we put it in our mouth, I want you not to chew it or swallow it, of course, yet, but we're going to put it in our mouth, and we're going to just kind of let it lay there on our tongue for a little bit and kind of roll it around in your mouth, roll it around in your tongue, and kind of just notice all the things about that raisin. So go ahead and put that in your mouth. Now don't chew it, don't bite it, just roll it around with your tongue. Feel that raisin. Think about how it tastes. Can you feel all the little bumps in there? Just keep rolling it around a little bit as long as you can without biting or trying to swallow it. It's kind of hard. You want to eat it. All right, so now that we've kind of squished it around, now you can bite into it, but just take one bite, maybe even if you can get it to the front of your teeth, and just bite down through it one time. But if you can't, you can do it on the side of your mouth too, and you just want to bite down without chewing it. But just think about how that changed the consistency of it and how it felt. Think about how that really tastes. How would a raisin actually really taste like? Because if you're like me, you usually just pop the raisin in our mouth and we're swallow it. We don't hardly taste it. Yeah. All right, now that you've really tasted and heard and smelled and looked at this raisin, you can finish eating it.
I think it's better yogurt covered.
Was it better yogurt covered?
Yeah,
Yes.
I just took one of my Bubba's ones.
You had a little
yogurt
bit
covered.
I do like those myself. I quite prefer those. All right, so this is kind of what, has anybody heard the term mindfulness before? And when you hear mindfulness, you think of what? Throw some stuff at me. What do you think when you hear that? You think of like a meditation, is where you think of that? Mindfulness meditation, you ever heard that? Have you ever heard of the opposite, being mindless? Yeah.
I think mindful for me is like I'm most reminded of it if I go into the woods and I just stand there for a minute, kind of like
Yeah.
hearing everything, seeing everything.
Exactly, Emma, exactly. That is being very mindful, right? Because you're taking a moment to really observe the woods, and you're hearing birds, and you're hearing the wind and the trees, and you feel the wind, and you can hear all the things that are in the forest. And so when we're mindful of things, we kind of sense everything with all of our senses, right? Just like this raisin, we were able to really dive into the essence of a raisin, right? Who knew it had sound, right? And so that's kind of what being mindful is actually being present with something. It doesn't matter what it is, if it's a raisin, if it's being in the forest, if it's being, with your friends and family, but actually being present and having all of your senses engaged. So you're hearing, you're smelling, you're tasting, feeling, all those things. Whatever it is that you're, doing, or just being present with. And so we talk about mindfulness as a way of engaging with things, but it's also a good practice to help us manage stress. Has anybody ever heard that before? Yeah, so being mindful and being present with something just in that little way, with like engaging with this raisin in that way, can help lower our stress levels, help calm us down, helps us return to our breathing, to slow down kind of, and really get us kind of focused back in the moment and help us relax a little bit. So that's kind of the practice of mindfulness. So you hear this word a lot, and it kind of has a connotation that it's something that, oh, you got to sit in the woods with your fingers like this, and you're closing your eyes meditating. But it doesn't have to be that. It can just be eating a raisin. It could just be standing in the woods, or it can be playing with your dog or your cat, but being very mindful of what you're doing there. Any questions? Tell me what you all thought. Who was surprised about something about this raisin? Tell me about that. Yeah.
I didn't know you could hear a raisin.
Yeah, right? Who knew you could hear a raisin? It has a voice. Hey, Sam, can you let the dog out? Anybody else? Aiden, did you have something you were saying? Who else experienced something new about a raisin that you didn't know?
I don't think I'd ever taken time to actually feel what it feels like. I'm just throwing them in my mouth, and I never really thought about the texture.
They're all bumpy, and sometimes they kind of feel like they got a seed inside of them from where the raisin or the grape was. Yeah. Anybody experience that? What about Skylar? Do you got something?
Yes, I've never tried these before.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I felt it, all of the sugar was just coming off in my hand.
Yeah, because they've got a coating on the outside, don't they? Mhm.
Yeah, I actually tried them before.
Do you think they're sour? And then sweet inside?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kind of raisins I like are craisins.
Mm-hmm. That's what
Those
I
are the
thought.
only ones I can eat. I
That's
cannot
what-
eat raisins, like the flavored kind, like strawberry, watermelon, orange.
Mm.
They're good.
Anybody else had a new experience with the raisin, or if you had different fruit? How about, has anybody like Emma had an experience of mindfulness that you want to tell us about, where you just kind of like were in the zone and you were like really, really just like surprised at how present you were of something? Has anybody ever had that happen where you get in the zone with sports? Yeah. What was it, Aiden? What did you have? What kind of sport was it?
Football.
Football. You kind of get focused on exactly what you're doing, and you're just like, I am only seeing what we're doing in football. Yeah, Eli.
Baseball, because you have to keep your eye on the ball. So if it's a pop fly and you're on base and you start running, you may want to run back towards the base.
That's right. Good. Yeah. When you're on base, you really got to be mindful, don't you? Be focused.
Yeah. Since I'm in kid pitch, if it goes past the catcher, people can be able to steal bases. So I'm like, okay, just gotta wait till he turns around.
That's right.
But then you
Yeah.
could get a chance of getting out.
Yeah. So you got to pay attention and keep your mind focused on it, don't you?
Yeah.
Does your mind ever wander off on what you should be thinking about when you're playing baseball?
I normally think, are we gonna win or are we gonna lose?
That's right.
And then actually did a home run, but by overthrows, like they kept on overthrowing, so I kept on running.
And you end up with a home run then, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just basically gave me a home run from overthrowing.
Anybody else? How about Christy over there? Christy, have you ever had an experience with a raisin like that? Oh, you're on mute.
I love when raisins explode in my mouth because you get sweetness, tartness, and yeah, I eat chocolate covered raisins all the time, and that's a different taste, of course. But yeah, raisins in general.
I tried chocolate covered sea salt caramel. It was a huge mix of almonds, and I only ate the milk chocolate, the sea salt caramel, milk chocolate, almond, and that's what I ate.
Those sound delicious.
They do.
They are. They are delicious.
All right, so I'll challenge you all this evening as you're eating dinner. Whatever you end up eating is to really like feel it, smell it, hear it, and then taste it. Like really focus in on your food this evening and see what kind of different experience that you have with it, especially if it's something you've ate before. Maybe you run out to fast food and it's something you just throw down your mouth, and don't think much of. Tonight, if you can, really sit down and pay attention to that and see how different it tastes. You might be surprised. All right, Emma, I think that's all I have, or Jillian, whoever's taking it. That was our mindful moment. But thank you all.
Well, thank you so much for that. I really enjoyed it. Like, I have never listened to a cranberry before.
Mm-mm.
All right. So I wanted to spend just a few minutes